What's up, guys? My name is Colin Ledbetter. This is the Built Different podcast. In studio with me, I have a longtime friend of mine, Ben Higgins. Ben and I have known each other for far too long. Actually, next year, I think we'll be around that 10-year mark almost, right? Because we both got into the Guard in 16, and we probably started brushing paths around then. XCTC would have been 17. So, yeah, it's been a long time.
It's been too long.
Ben now works at the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department as well. No thanks to me. I'll let him introduce himself.
Yeah, my name's Ben Higgins. Born in July. I like long walks on the beach. I'm a police officer, City of St. Louis. I've been there for about 5 years now.
What type of ice cream you like?
Mint chocolate chip.
There you go.
There's been here for...
How long have you been with the department, you said?
5 years now. I went in 2019. I think I missed we were both in the Guard still back then. I think I missed you guys went to Singapore, right?
Mm-hmm.
Back then. Missed that to go through the academy. Got out, and since then I've been on 6th District Night Watch, your old district.
So, and we've kind of mentioned a little bit of this. Ben and I have the military aspect and the police department aspect together. Ben and I were kind of growing up in the Guard at the same time, same levels type things. Ben joined the police department in 19.
Yes.
You were in the academy then. We went to Singapore. By the way, Singapore was probably the best military adventure I've ever been on. So that sucks for you.
Yeah, that's what
I mean, we were there in, I think it was like the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Like, we were out on the beach. Like, there was a beach, literally. Like, we had a beach in Bahrain, but they dumped their waste, and it was just nasty.
It was okay.
Singapore was the cleanest country I've ever been to. Like, they would cane you if you spit your gum on the ground. Like, it was just clean. Like, not in St. Louis, no.
No, never.
But, yeah, you definitely missed out on that one. That was a good one. So you come out of the academy in 2019. Mm-hmm. Summer or fall, winter?
I kind of came out right at that build-up point. It's not quite winter, or not quite winter anymore, but you're building up into spring. Everything's kind of starting to pick up.
Things are thawing out.
Yeah, it's...
And you come out, did you start on Night Watch?
I did. I've always been on Night Watch.
It's a rough go, man.
Yeah, it's I tell people it sucks for about the first year. And then after that, I always say Night Watch is the best kept secret. I love it. I love it now.
How do you acclimate? It's definitely something I feel like you gotta... I feel like if I was on Night Watch and I was always there, like, I would be wincing all the time. Like,
Well, you do. You always wince, but it's... no, you just, after a while, I'd say after about a month, you kind of acclimate it. You figure out, like, hey, this first day I'm going to catch up on sleep, my next 2 days off. Because on Night Watch, we always have at least 3 days off at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So that first day is usually for catching up on sleep. Next 2 days, you figure out, oh, hey, I'm going to go do my grocery shopping. I'm going to go out and do whatever I need to do. And then as it goes on, you should get better at staying awake all the time. And then you go to sleep.
How does it feel like going on a vacation with, like, your family, and they're all like, hey, let's go do something. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. And you're like, actually, I should be going to bed.
The vacations can be tough, especially coming back from, you get on that normal sleep schedule, mm-hmm. and you switch back to, sleeping during the nighttime pretty quick, mm-hmm. and it takes you about a week or two to get acclimated back.
That's another thing. I know guys in the policing world and also in different careers that are on Night Watch. When you go to sleep, like, I know some guys that come home and they're just like, bam, hit the pillow, they're gone.
So I've right now it's pretty much as soon as I get home, I kind of hit the pillow, I go to sleep. I think that's that for me right now is probably the healthiest way of doing it. When I lived in the city, I used to, drive home and I would stay up, kind of decompress for a little bit, and then and then go to sleep.
But now you gotta drive.
Yeah, now I live out in Jefferson County. It's about a 30-minute drive.
Where'd you live at in the city?
4th and Washington. So the Gentry's Landing.
Yeah.
Shout out to them.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I grew up in the City View apartments, so.
Yeah.
I
know.
Oh, yeah.
Someone suggested that when I first moved there.
Yep. It was good when I first moved there. And then the riots hit. Yeah. And then it was yeah. What, you have 5 years on now?
Yep.
Okay. What's kind of been some of the toughest times on the department?
Well, I mean, obviously, the time you got shot, that was pretty rough for me.
Yeah, you're a hero.
Yeah. Hey, well, let's get into that. So the reason I joined the department, honestly, we were at an event, JRTC, down at Fort Polk. We spent 10 days or whatever just sitting in a hole waiting for an attack that never came. You eventually just kind of run out of stuff to talk about. And I remember talking to you and you being like, yeah, man, like, I work for St. Louis City Police Department. It's pretty cool. We chase cars at least once a month. It's a lot of fun. And I just remember hearing it and I said,
it's fake.
Well, I can do that.
You should have slapped me, right? You should have slapped me in the face and you should have said, the reason I'm here is because of a recruiter. I don't need another one.
So I just remember being like, all right, well, that sounds like a plan. I really wasn't doing anything. I didn't have anything going on. I grew up in Charleston, Illinois. It's about 2 hours from there, so I had no connection to it or anything. I went and dropped off an application. Like a month later, got a phone call. So
that should have been your first warning.
So, I mean, then obviously, you getting shot and everything. It was just kind of like this was probably a better term. This was the whole reason I came here, and all of a sudden, everything's changed. So that was obviously pretty hard. Anything involving kids is usually pretty rough. Me and my current partner had a young girl about 4 years old get shot, and we drove her to the hospital. She was gone prior to us even getting her into our car to drive her, and I just remember that being. They gave us 3 or 4 days off for that, and I remember that one really bugged me for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Kids are hard.
Kids are really hard. Yeah,
early on, I remember being on FTO and having just a SIDS case, and the parents that was, seeing the kid, it was a baby, seeing the baby there, lifeless, that was really hard. But then seeing the parents trying to process through it.
Oh yeah.
They weren't processing it. They were like, the dad had handed me the baby, and I walked it downstairs, met with EMS, and there was nothing. And the dad was just like, so how's my kid? And I told him several times, like, hey, your kid passed away, blah blah blah. And it's just it's so hard to figure out how you're not gonna break down in front of this person who's on the verge of breaking down. So kids are definitely, it's hard to find that line. I don't envy you having to do that. I know a lot of officers struggle with that kind of stuff. So it's definitely a hard one.
It's I don't want to make it sound like it's all doom and gloom. There are good parts of this job. There are very rewarding parts. Yeah. And I'll even say to a certain extent, getting to help a family process through those hard times in itself is rewarding. But it is, we all have those cases we think about where we're like, I'm glad I got a break after that. I'm glad, even if it's just, I'm glad someone took that call that I was supposed to get after. You know what I mean? I'm glad someone took that accident from me.
Accident on the highway.
So I didn't have to,
What a blessing. I can still, as we're talking about it, I can feel the relief, on my Friday. Hey, we'll take that call for 627. Definitely. It's the little things,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Early on, who was your FTO?
It'd be Chris Amon. So I actually started with David Lee, and then whenever deployment came up, I left, and when I came back, I finished it out with Chris Amon.
So you were, I forgot about that. I forgot you were in that weird, like, you were in the,
Yeah.
you deployed.
It was, yeah. My start was pretty rough here.
Oh my goodness, I forgot about that. So they made you make up the whole thing when you got back, right?
Yeah, so I did about, I want to say like 5 weeks with David Lee, which that, that's not really enough time to really, I think, learn, retain, and then process how to do it. So when I came back, they were like, "Hey, we're just gonna redo it." And
but man, that's wild. So early on, what did you learn? Like, there's some key takeaways. Like I learned several things early on that I honed in as an officer through my 5 years. What did you learn?
Yeah, so early on, a lot of it was just kind of how to talk to people. Mm. I think that as someone who had never done any form of policing before, I didn't grow up, the cops weren't coming to my house or anything like that. It was, I don't think I really knew how to be, for lack of a better term, confrontational. Just, kind of call someone out on, whether it's they're lying, I you kind of want to be everyone's friend. And it was like, oh, hey, hey man, you're here to police. You're not here to be everyone's friend. You're here to, you're going to have to break bad news to people. You're going to have to make people unhappy. And I think that, Chris taught me, really well, I think, how to do that. Just effectively communicate with people, especially, hey, I need help up here. What, how to, distribute work across and how to get, people to help out and what needs done.
Communication, I think, is a big part of the job. I always thought that when you're talking to someone, especially someone confrontational, it's always about the way you talk to them, whether you're going to fight them or you're going to,
absolutely,
take them to jail without any sort of fight. So, and I saw that you see that all the time. One guy would get under someone else's skin, and it was on. Like you just saw the switch up from okay, but every once in a while you could talk to someone and get them to. So yeah, I definitely agree that communication is definitely a big one. I know we kind of talked about your family a little bit. Girlfriend? No, nothing right now.
No, not right now. Not right now.
How does this question still applies definitely, because I was actually, for the majority of my career as a police officer, I was single. How does it affect your family?
So, family, obviously I'm 2 hours away from my family, so I don't get to see them as often as I want to. Mm-hmm. Recently it's gotten a little bit harder. My sister just had her first kid. It's my first nephew. So it's, hearing all the stories about, him going and seeing his other uncle and having to really make up for it to be the favorite one is pretty hard, but, I make it happen. But there's also, that being said, I think me and my dad have gotten a lot closer since I've done this. He comes up a lot. We'll go to Cardinals games. We'll go to Blues games. We get to kind of run around St. Louis a little bit together. And, I enjoy it. I guess I hope he does. But, we both seem to really enjoy that. So I think I think it's kind of brought me and my family closer together, stuff like that. Kind of going back to the girlfriend thing. Policing makes dating hard just because...
Policing as a night watch officer.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just no one's awake during...
Who do you talk to?
Yeah,
you got to talk to your other buddies. Yeah, absolutely.
It's just not, it's not very conducive to that. So it's, just working through stuff like that.
Yeah.
It can be difficult, but like I said, there's pros and cons with all of it. And it's I still love it. So
yeah. Changing gears a little bit, do you ever see yourself doing anything different? And that's across the board, being from being a gas station clerk to going to a different district to anything?
Yeah, I mean, down the road, I'd like to probably go to a specialized unit at some point. I really like the city's anti-crime unit. I did an internship before before those got frozen down there. It's some of my favorite police work I've ever done.
Is that
with that unit?
Is that anywhere near being resolved to where you guys are going to be able to move around again? Or
I mean, I think they're going to have to. It's been, I want to say, almost 2 years since they froze really any sort of transfers. I think the specialized units are hurting just as much as patrol is.
Well, and it takes the, I don't want to say the drive, because I don't believe that actually takes the drive out of the officers, but it takes the back of their mind, the career progression drive.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Yeah, we've talked about in the past, like one of the benefits to the city that kind of was preached was, career progression. And I think a lot of guys kind of get hung up on, oh, I can't go to this unit, my career's not going anywhere. And I kind of try to stress people. Yes, that's true. However, that just means your career isn't going down the direction you thought it would.
Yeah, you can, it's absolutely, they haven't froze like promotions and stuff like that, right?
No, they haven't frozen promotions. And one program that has kind of started to pop up is they've been allowing a lot more district guys to come and work overtime with these units. And I think that's really, helped motivate guys. I think that, and I also think you see kind of how people work whenever they're, hey, I'm willing to come in on my own time and do it. And you're kind of really seeing what people are about.
That's a big deal. And it gives the specialized units, for when it does come, their picks. You know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Them freezing the promotions and stuff. Right when I got shot was like my time of applying for places. And, I threw out like 5 or 6 different applications all at once. Like, I just jumped right into it. And the one that I really wanted was DEI. That was my big one. And of course, the day that I got shot was the day that I left the interview. I still joke with my buddy. My buddy's actually the one that got it. And I still joke with him that I'm the one that got it. And I just got shot. They couldn't give it to me. But
can he prove you wrong? I don't think he can.
He'd be a jerk if he did. No, I'm really happy for him. I think he likes, I know he likes it down there. It's actually him and then one of our academy classmates are both down there, class presidents. So they both really like it down there. But it's, like I said, it's all about what you want to do, what you want to be as an officer. And I totally agree with your statement. You can still move up. You can still, you can still go to the bureau. You can still do other things. And some guys don't like the bureau, but the bureau gives you report writing skills that you can't get on the streets.
Absolutely.
You can be the best report writer as a beat officer, but you can't be the best report writer as a detective without doing it. And I think
it's different kinds of report writing.
Oh, too. It is. And I think that these young officers, if you're listening, should take some advice and just build on the skills that you have and that are available to you right now. I'm sure at some point they'll have to unfreeze everything, and then.
Oh yeah. No.
Hopefully, you guys will be able to move around and stuff. I think that's important. I do. I won't ever deny that, but I do think that if you guys hang on, it'll hopefully get straightened out eventually.
No, I can't see myself leaving the city anytime though. I'm doomed. I'm doomed to this place.
Yeah. Well, you got 5 years on, right? It's only 15 more, and then after that, after you're 15, then you got to go for the drop, right?
Yeah.
So you got to go.
And then once you get to there, you've already done 30. You might as well do 40. Nice round number.
You know what? And at that time, you're a major or higher. So you're good. So I like to ask this question. Would you recommend this job to a family member or friend?
So I think it depends. The city,
and if you call me a jerk for recommending it to you,
so no, I think that it takes a certain type of individual to come to the city of St. Louis and be a police officer here.
mm-hmm.
I don't think that I would recommend that to everyone. I think that you would kind of have to see something. You kind of have to recognize something in them.
Mm-hmm.
As far as a career in law enforcement, my hometown, like,
yeah,
I've never been a cop there, obviously, but I can't imagine that my small town and St. Louis are very comparable as far as the work and stuff goes. They're still going to have traumatic, experiences. They're still going to go
mm-hmm.
through stuff like that. But they're still gonna be rewarding. And if it's a community you have a connection to, probably an even bigger, probably it's even a more rewarding feeling to that. I would encourage anyone that's even at all interested, kind of explore your options. Don't do what I did and just apply to one department and then call it good. Kind of look around, go find.
Way you don't get buried in the fire,
Yeah,
buried on 6th District Night Watch for 5 years.
Yeah, go explore around.
Mm-hmm.
Find out what kind of police officer you want to be. If you want to be, if you want to be a trooper, go be a trooper. If you want to be a small town cop, go be a small town cop. A buddy we had from the Army, Ty Duzan, he went and became a game warden for Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
He talks, when I talk to him, he talks about, hey man, they give me a boat, and during duck season, I get to drive around, find all the best spots for duck hunting, and when it's my days off, I go and use those, just stuff, there are things you can do that are kind of
different.
It's, not everyone has to be the,
run and gun
cop. Not everyone has to be a traffic cop.
Mm-hmm.
You go and find whatever you're passionate about, whatever your niche is. Go jump into that. That's what I would encourage.
Mm-hmm.
Any family member, any friend that I said, hey, I think you'd be good at law enforcement. Go find that niche. Go find what you like to do and go do that.
That's good. No, I totally agree with that. So I think we hit on some of the worst times of the job. Yeah. I'm sure you have some fun times. Some of the best times. Let's hear those.
Yeah, we I know you've talked about on the podcast before, kind of that B platoon crew that you guys had that, you guys just really put in work together. Night Watch, we ended up kind of by chance forming that. We had we had a really good sergeant, had a really good crew, guys that wanted to work. And I mean, there was probably a 4 to 5 month period. We were just going out and tearing it up. It was every single night. It was a race to see who could get the first felony arrest, and then one of us would get in a fight on a call, and I mean, next thing you know, there's 6 people in the room, just they're to back you up, there to work with you. We're all we were all young. I say we were young officers. We all had about 2 years on at the time, and you don't really know the job at that point. I've got 5 years on. I still say I don't really know the job, but at 2 years, you're still kind of figuring out how to write everything. So we were all figuring out how to do it together. We'd go chase a car, and it was kind of we were still kind of. I don't even think we knew the district well enough to be chasing cars, if I'm being honest, because everyone's trying to get into the pursuit instead of getting ahead of it, and it just stuff like that, and it's kind of remembering all those times and kind of growing up and learning how to actually police a neighborhood was I think that's just the most that's been the most fun to me. Obviously my first car chase, I still remember that.
Oh yeah.
In the snow.
Yeah.
Sergeant Missy Foster was watching real-time cameras and called one out, and it accidentally drove in front of me. I was by myself, barely knew directions, and thank God when the car crashed, the the kid driving it broke his arm and didn't want to run because I had no idea. I was somewhere in the 4th on Chambers.
Oh, no.
The kid's like, "Sir, I broke my arm." And I was like, "I don't know what to do. I don't know where I'm at." This is all happening so fast.
That's the worst. I had, speaking of cars driving in front of you, so you remember Kayla Devine?
Oh, yeah.
So Kayla, for whatever reason, she was like my overtime partner all the time. But for whatever reason, she wanted me to go to a Luke Bryan concert with her for like ever. So me and I can't remember who else. It was one of her other buddies that was on the department, but he worked down south, I think. We got tickets for this Luke Bryan concert, and you know how she talks about, "Oh, you gotta make sure that you're there tonight so we can go to this Luke Bryan concert." And I was working overtime on days, and I think I was with Josh, and I don't remember who was. Someone else was in a car in front of us, and we're sitting at this stoplight. We're on Riverview at like I-70, kind of. No, we're at Goodfellow on I-70, kind of by where that gas station was there. I don't remember what the gas station was called.
I-70 and what?
Goodfellow.
Oh, the Conoco there?
Yes.
Conoco?
I don't know if it's still there or not.
It's still standing. It's not there anymore, but it's still standing.
We were getting off the interstate there, and like we had just literally gotten onto the exit, and we hear southbound on Goodfellow from West Forest, and it was a vehicle wanted for a homicide from the night before. And we're pulling up, and Los looks at me, and I was like, "Hey man, I'm going to this concert tonight. Let's," I said, you can kind of pull around if it drives in front of us, whatever. And as I think it's Nelson, coming up to the stoplight, I just see him flip on his lights and just fly through. I'm like, "What's happening?" Josh follows him, and I look up, and he goes, "Oh, we're in pursuit of a homicide vehicle." I was like, "What? Are you kidding me?" So like the 10-minute pursuit or whatever, we get done, and we get all 4 of the guys. We found a guy hiding in the dumpster or whatever, and I get a text from Kayla as I'm on my way down to homicide, and she's like, "Hey, who got that homicide card?" I was like, "Hey, funny story." But we ended up getting everything done and in time to go. But I was like, oh gosh, the one time that I wasn't trying to, it just popped right out in front of us, and that's how that job is, man. Like the craziest stuff. I remember.
It's 90% luck.
Oh,
this job is 90% luck.
It was closer to the time that I got shot, but I was driving down the road. I think Montgomery was with me, and Devine and Mitchum are in front of us, and all of a sudden I just hear pop, 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 pop. I'm like, "What is happening? We get shot," and I'm like looking around. I got my gun out. I'm like, "What is happening?" I look over my right, and there's shooting going on. 2 guys are shooting at each other. One of the guys gets in the car, takes off, and so we start putting it out. We follow because there's only 2 of us there, so we follow the pursuit. Well, other cars got an area. They said, "Hey, there's no victim. Like the victim ran off." So at that point, the sergeant's like, "Hey, cut this. You don't have a victim. You ain't got nothing." So we literally cut it off, and I think like right after that, we drove over the hill, and right after that, the car's sitting there and it's wrecked out. But just that kind of stuff. Like we're just driving them, just random shooting. It was just wild.
This job's 90% luck. I remember coming on and like I used to see guys like you and Kayla, Nelson, even Lucas Sec, Fuller, guys like that, and I used to think like, man, like you just really just have it like figured out. Like they can just go out and
shoot from the hip.
Yeah, and then like now I've got like 5 years. I'm like at the same point you guys all were whenever I first came on. And I'm like, oh, no one knows what they're doing. We're just all making this up as we go. We've got the rules that we have to play by, and we just kind of apply them as we go.
Organized chaos. It's pretty much like the military.
Oh yeah.
When I got my whenever I was they put me in the gun team. No clue. Never been in a gun team, right? I got 4 years, 5 years in. Never been in a gun team. They're like, "Hey, you're going to be the assistant gunner." I'm like, "Cool." Assistant gunner's a team leader spot. I have no clue what I'm doing. Yeah. And then like 6 months later, like, "Hey, we're deploying." I'm like, I still don't know what I'm doing. But that's cool. It's that kind of stuff. Like act the part, and eventually you figure it out.
Yeah.
Or you don't, and
you go somewhere else.
Whatever. It just is what it is. But yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think it's a lot of knowing and then not knowing, and then the willingness to learn to know. You know.
Yeah, I always laugh because it's like when you're doing it, it's like when you're doing something, when you get that crappy case or whatever, it's like, man, this sucks. Like this 6:30 shooting could not have been worse. Like whatever, and those always come back to be like the really those always come back to be the really funny cases. I remember we had our Christmas party one morning because we're all night watch. Our Christmas party's at 7:00 in the morning, and
beautiful.
Yeah, we had like. I don't remember what bar we were supposed to, we had rented out to go to. I think it was like Trophy Room or something. Mm-hmm. And it's 6:30 in the morning. We get off at 6:50 in the morning. Code 1 shooting comes out.
Oh, of course.
We get, we fly up to that same Conoco at I-70 in Goodfellow, and there's a victim, and he's like, I got carjacked, and they shot me when they, as they drove away. So we all, we get his statements, he goes to the hospital, whatever. Officer goes to the hospital. He's gonna be stable. They leave. We go back to the station and start writing. Start writing it. And we were actually doing really well. We were probably gonna be done by like 7:10, and all of a sudden, we get a complaint evaluation saying that someone involved in a robbery at the Conoco at I-70 in Goodfellow has shown up to the hospital with a gunshot wound. And me and my partner were just like, I can't believe we're going to have to go to the hospital and arrest this guy. Like, this is the worst possible. Okay, and we ended up driving up there, and it was shift change didn't tell the other shift that he had already seen police. So it was just our victim again, and this guy's confused and thought we showed up to arrest him and, like, tried to run from us and stuff when we got there. I was like, no, you're fine.
Organized chaos.
I mean, it's just...
Yeah.
Stuff like that. At the time, we could not have been angrier about it. And now looking back, like that's those hand grenades that you jump on at work. Those are always the ones that I think are always just the most fun.
Yeah. We were talking about luck and stuff like that. Early on, I rode with Leland Bonner. I don't know if you remember him or not.
Yeah.
We were. I don't even remember what all entailed, but it was a stolen vehicle, and they broadcasted it going southbound on Kings Highway. And we were actually on Kings Highway whenever it was Kings Highway in West Florissant. And we were turning out onto Kings Highway, but they were like, hey, this is delayed by 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I look at Bonner and I'm like, hey, we're really close to that. He's like, yeah, but who knows if we see it or not. And so we get over 70 and we're still beat-bopping down. And I look over to my left and I can't remember. I think it was like a blue truck or something like that. So it was really distinct. I look over to my left, and there's a blue truck. So we pull up and check the VIN. It's a stolen truck. And some lady comes. She's like, are you looking for that man? He just hopped on a Metro bus. I'm like, too easy. So we start driving down. I can't remember what the street was. What's some of the the streets to the north of Natural Bridge that intersect with Kings Highway? It's like 2 or 3 streets north of Natural Bridge.
Like
east to west.
Penrose or Margaretta.
It probably been Margaretta. So we start bopping down there. Well, we don't catch up to the Metro bus until Goodfellow. And she describes him perfectly. He's in a red jumpsuit, black shoes. He's got to be, perfect. I mean, how easy could it be? And so we pull up. Leland hits the lights. We pull up right behind the Metro bus at Goodfellow. And the back door opens up, and I just see old boy. He just jumps right out. And I'm like, there he is. This is probably like my first foot pursuit off of FTO. Like I was a week or two off FTO, and I just take off and I tackle this guy right in the middle of Goodfellow, right smack dab in the middle of Goodfellow, and I'm cuffing him up, and we get him off to the side and everything like that, and I remember. Kelly Smith, who was my FTO, came up to me. He's like, you know better. He's like, you're an idiot. He's like, why would you tackle him right in the middle of Goodfellow? And I did, man. Right in the middle of Goodfellow. I'm like, I should have died. Luckily, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Aaron Mundeline pulled right behind us and hit his lights and block traffic. But I was like, I look back at the video and I was like, oh, that was so dumb. Organized chaos.
It's awesome.
But you got anything else to add?
No, just.
I usually tell people to give, if you want to give a shout out to your family or anything like that, say hi to them, and then
Sure.
we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, shout out to my family, Mom, Dad. Thanks for everything you did. Seth, Holly. Love you guys. Love you, Grant. Shout out to Terrence Collins, my partner. It's all I got.
Ben, thanks for coming on, buddy.
I appreciate it.